Guess who's back? Now, if you're probably watching this on my YouTube channel, you might be wondering, what is he talking about? Let me explain. So a few years ago, back in the beginning of 2021, I launched a podcast called the Post Show Podcast. And on it, I've had guests, from video editors, entrepreneurs, different people on. And it's actually 2 seasons. So season 1 was in 2021. Season 2 is in 2022. And I believe I left off in season 2. The end of season 2 was like June of 2022. And since then, I haven't been back. So if you're listening on Spotify and all the other platforms, I'm back. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then this is a video podcast now as well. So welcome back. So I'm getting back into podcasting. This is exciting. And it's been a long time since I've launched a podcast or published an episode. And a lot has happened on my YouTube channel. A lot has happened in life since, my last podcast episode. But I want to talk to my YouTube audience a little bit first before we dive into kind of where we left off, essentially. If you're watching this on YouTube, the reason why I want to start publishing more on YouTube is that's where most of my audience is, and especially with the guests and different people I'm going to have on the podcast, video editors, content creators. I think the conversations we'll have, you'll have a lot of value in them. So if you're interested, be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for future episodes on the podcast on my YouTube channel. Now, if you watch my YouTube videos and you also have like Spotify, different podcasts, platforms, feel free to subscribe. Search for the Post Show Podcast by John the Video Guy. It should pop up, especially if you type in my name, it'll pop up for sure. But the goal in having these conversations, I want to say, is I'm just tired of just making just tutorial content or just like how-to content, where I feel like me and probably a lot of people, we're hungry. We're hungry for just real conversations and just videos that are just real, especially with AI and like the way the world is. It's so like anyone can just type in like how to do something in Premiere Pro, After Effects. And when I look at my channel, I look at the growth and where I've come as a content creator. A lot of the growth on my YouTube channel and my personal brand has come from, making evergreen content, making that, how to do this and blah, blah, blah. And it's very transactional. And the goal of my podcast and for the future of the channel is to just create more real content, just talking to you, not highly edited. If it is edited, which it's a tough word to say, edited. If it is edited, it's very simplified edited. I'm just going to cut out the pauses so you don't have to wait 10 minutes for me to regain my train of thought. But, it's not going to be fancy. It's just real. And I feel like there's a need for that. And I feel like it's a way to connect more with you, the viewer, and my audience. I feel like, a lot of times people just search for content, how to do something in Premiere Pro. They might watch a tutorial. They're not looking to stick around. But I feel like the more content I create where it's focused on conversations, on people's stories, their own experience, being a video editor, being a content creator, or starting a video business, I feel like we can connect more on a deeper level. So I look forward to bringing more conversations and videos or video podcasts on my YouTube channel, as well as podcasts if you're listening to this as well. That's the goal of it. So that's kind of why I relaunched. Welcome back. If you've been waiting for 2 years, my goodness, you're a true diehard fan. I appreciate you. But a lot has happened since the last time I published an episode. The last time I published an episode was June of 2022. And I figured it would be fun to look back at my stats when it was June of 2022 and kind of see the growth. Because if you tuned in for season 2 on my podcast, basically season 2 didn't have any guests on it, but season 2 basically followed my journey as a content creator. So when I started season 2, I believe it was September of 2021, and it ended in June of 2022. And my goal when I first started in, I think September of 2021, I had like 150 subscribers on the channel. And my goal was by the end of season 2 to get to 1,000 subscribers. And I kind of documented the process. So it's very nice that I did that, because I even sometimes go back and listen to the old episodes. So if you're a content creator, an aspiring YouTuber, I do recommend, if you listen to podcasts, go back to season 2. It follows the journey of when I kind of first started getting into the groove as a YouTuber and a content creator in audio form. There's no videos, but essentially I made season 2 just about my path, kind of like my strategies, what I was thinking at that time, which is really interesting because I'm like, really? I was thinking about that? Or because you learn so much as a content creator and as a YouTuber as you grow a channel and build a community. And my goal was by the end of it in June of 2022 to reach 1,000 subscribers. So that was the goal. And I ended up, I do have the stats. I listened to the episode before hitting record here. So at the finish line, June of 2022, the last time I published a podcast episode, I had 578 subscribers. Now, if I also have my stats here, so currently on the channel, at the time of recording this episode, I'm sitting at 12,300 subscribers. So came a long ways in 2 years. And then also, subs per month. So back then in the summer of 2022, I was gaining around 76 subscribers within the last 28 days. So how I was judging it was like, within the last 28 days, if you're in your YouTube Studio account, you can see kind of like what the stats are for the last 28 days. And back in 2022, in June, the last time I published an episode for the Post Show podcast, I gained 76 subscribers in that month. And within this past month, in the last 28 days, I gained 387. So that's the difference between then and now. And then also views. Views is a very staggering difference. So back in June of 2022, I gained 8,500 views in the last 28 days. And if I look currently at my last 28 days, I gained 107,200 views in the last 28 days. So that almost over 10x in viewership. And then watch time also increased a lot, very dramatically. Back in June of 2022, my channel gained 313 watch time hours within the last 28 days. And now currently, within the last 28 days, I gained 2,800 hours of watch time. And if you're an aspiring YouTuber content creator, the threshold to get monetized on YouTube is to reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. And that was my goal back in 2022, is trying to get monetized, try to get to 1,000 subscribers. But it's just interesting looking at the growth and realizing it's very, exponential, or it's very much like you have to put in a lot of work at the beginning, but over time, the stats and the growth kind of compounds a little bit. Now, I do have to say the growth on my channel has plateaued a little bit since then. That's why I'm kind of shaking things up a little bit in the branding. That's why I renovated the background, just a different vibe, a different feel for my content. Because like I said, I want to make more content that's just focused around stories, conversations, being real. How I grew the channel to 10,000 subscribers was really based on search-based content, making Premiere Pro tutorials, After Effects tutorials, people, searching for specific things. I talked a lot about evergreen search-based content in my podcast before, but I think, which is funny to say this, because for my entire YouTube journey, I've always been that's how you grow, is search-based content. But I feel like my one regret in being a YouTuber is not focusing on the community, or focusing on trying to build connections with people and relationships. I think that's so important. And that's why the shift in my content is really focused on having conversations, stories, podcasts, and even some of the videos I made recently within the last few months. It's not like how to do something in Premiere Pro or After Effects, because anyone can make a video about that, how to export videos or what. I probably did make an export settings video in the last 28 days, but some of the content is more just, how how to set up a contract as a videographer, the things I consider, growing a channel, the things, more of the things that are more personalized, I think that I can speak to on a personal, professional level. But I think that's the goal moving forward, is just to have real deep conversations. So that's my goal. That's the plan. Like I said, if you're interested, be sure to like, subscribe. If you're not, that's completely fine. It's not like I'm going to stop making Premiere Pro, After Effects tutorials. I think at the end of the day, that's the bread and butter of my YouTube channel. Essentially, that's, what introduces me to a lot of people and different people from the video editing industry. That's the backlog of content. When they see one video, they see, oh, I'm a Premiere Pro, After Effects tutorial channel. But the goal, I think, long-term for my channel is probably to start establishing focus really more on personal brand, and just give people a sense of who I am as a creator, who I am as a YouTuber, as a video editor, my quirks, my, offbeat sense of humor, which I don't think I've done a really good job at in my tutorial content. And it's a fine line because, at the end of the day, people want to know information. And I think when it comes to YouTube, people will search for things, they'll find things, they just want to know the information and leave, and that's completely fine. And I'm guilty of doing that as well. But there's other creators in the space that you can reference that have built a great personality, great personal brand, and you follow them because you just like them as a person. And when I think of my journey as a content creator, I really need to lean into that a lot more than I have. I think I've been kind of, to be honest, taking the easy route or the easy approach when it comes to content creation of just creating search-based content. But probably the most difficult thing in content creation, being a YouTuber in front of the camera, is to open up and be yourself. So that's what I'm trying to do. We'll see if there is an edit in this. I don't think I've messed up once, but I'm sure I will. But that's the goal. I think at the end of the day, that's being a YouTuber is, I think being a YouTuber, it's changing what it means to be a YouTuber. I think especially in the education niche, because with ChatGPT, AI, anyone can search how to do something. And I feel like we're all getting tired of just the AI spitting out content, the stuff we see on our feeds. We're just hungry for real conversations. And that's the goal of what I'm trying to do moving forward. But yeah, so that's that. Let us see here. So I want to go back for those that are listening on the podcast that are familiar with season 2. Why I abandoned shorts. I made down a few bullet points for this episode. I was like, okay, we'll cover this, and this, and the intro episode kind of to warm you up for the podcast, essentially. But in the future, I'm going to have guests. This is just kind of like a, hey, I'm back. Here's a life update type of video almost, that kind of warms up, you guys, so that you're prepared, like, oh, he's starting a podcast. But what I wanted to go over is, I listened to the last episode. That's where I got the stats from. But it's interesting to see my mindset of where I was then and kind of like where I am now, essentially. So I want to go over why I abandoned shorts, which I haven't completely abandoned shorts or like short form content, but I'm treating them a little bit differently, I want to say. So when it comes to short form content, the last podcast episode that I published in June of 2022 talked about how I was going all in on shorts and Instagram Reels. And I think I made like a short a day for like almost 3 to 4 months, I want to say, on my channel. And it did something. The thing with short form content, it's hard to convert viewers to your long form content because a lot of people, they're just interested in shorts. So they'll just watch, they'll scroll through, they'll see things. And the thing I realize about short form content, specifically when it comes to the education niche on YouTube, is that I don't think it's the right place for it, or if it is, it needs to be entertaining. Because at the end of the day, short form content, people are on there to laugh, to, find something amusing for a few seconds. And when you make content about, here's how you do something in Premiere Pro, I just don't think it's the right place for it. That's what my view is on it. I think short form content is really great for like the personal stories. So like, when I make these podcast episodes, I'll probably trim them, use some software to cut it down, put some captions on it and upload it to YouTube and the different social media short form platforms specifically. So YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok. But I think that's what I'm going to do moving forward. I don't think education content does really well on short form videos because at the end of the day, people are looking to be entertained. They're not looking to learn, how to do something specifically. So that's kind of my goal there. Another thing I wrote down too, when it comes to my goals for where I was at the end of the podcast in June of 2022 was I wanted to get into digital products, which I have. So if you're unaware, I launched a Patreon store where you can join a membership, pay $4 a month. It's kind of like a buy me a coffee type of membership. And every month I release a new Premiere Pro After Effects template or even like a helpful document or guide. Like this past month, I released a video production business plan guide or worksheet that you can download and use if you're considering starting your own freelance video production company, freelance video editing business. But essentially, I started that as a membership. And then also there's a la carte options to buy different templates. So that's where you can go and get my really cool reactive lower third, which I use all the time. I really like it. It's nice because it reacts to the length of your text inside Premiere Pro. So you can type in a name and the rectangles, the shapes, the boxes automatically adjust to the length of the characters, which, if you're a video editor and you have to add lower thirds to a lot of your projects, you realize like you have to spend a lot of time readjusting the size of the text or trying to make the shape long enough where this automatically does it for you. So that's nice. But I launched that store in September of 2022. And just to give you a little bit into the insight of my growth of the YouTube channel, I reached 1,000 subscribers in September of 2022. So really it was only, 3 months after the last podcast episode, we reached the milestone. So it was just 3 months delayed. And I became monetized on my YouTube channel in November of 2022. So this is when I became part of the YouTube Partner Program. That's when I reached the monetization requirements of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. Typically, which it was the case for me, a lot of creators struggle with watch time. Getting to 4,000 hours of watch time can take quite a bit of time. For me, there's like a 2-month delay period of reaching 1,000 subscribers and reaching 4,000 hours of watch time. Now, fortunately, which helped with my content is, I made tutorial evergreen content. So a lot of people are watching my tutorials, started to create a backlog of content that people can watch. And that really helped me push over that 4,000 hours of watch time to get to that monetization requirement. But ever since then, so November of 2022, I started collecting AdSense in YouTube. So the ads that you see on the YouTube videos, I collect, a portion of that. I believe it's 50% or 50, 55. I can't remember the exact number, but starting to collect money that way. And then with the Patreon launch, so during my 1,000 subscriber launch, I released a speed ramp transition for Premiere Pro to my first 1,000 subscribers. And then I add that as a product on my Patreon page. So people can go on there and purchase that. But those were the first few ways I monetized my YouTube channel. There have been other ways that I kind of experimented with, especially in 2023. I want to say I got more into affiliate marketing. So by the end of 2022, just to give you a little bit more story on kind of like how I grew the channel, not only in subscribers and viewership, but also from a monetary perspective, because I feel like not a lot of people talk about like, well, you can grow a YouTube channel, but how do you actually make money from it? So in 2023, I focused a lot on affiliate marketing. So I joined a lot of the programs for products and services I use all the time, such as Motion Array, Artlist, Envato Elements. Those were some of the main ones that I joined right away. And what I did is basically how affiliate marketing works. If you're unaware, is essentially you can join basically like a rewards program per se, where you get a custom link to each of the services. So for Motion Array, for example, you sign up to become an ambassador for Artlist, and they give you an Artlist and a Motion Array affiliate link. And for those that don't know, Motion Array is owned by Artlist. So when I say Artlist, it's kind of both Motion Array and Artlist per se, but essentially they give you a link and you can add it to your video description. Now, if you have a website, you can add it to your blog. Essentially, it's a link. So when potential customers click on it, they go to the website. They often get like a discount, like maybe say 50% off or whatnot. So they usually get a deal. And if they click and sign up using the link, I get a small commission. And it's not at the cost of the customer. That's important to note. It's the same price. It's just I get a commission based on the sale because I help, promote the product and service. Essentially, it's like I'm a salesperson for that business or company. But that's how affiliate marketing works. And what really helped for me and what I didn't realize is that at the time, now looking back and I'm like, oh yeah, that works for sure. The best way probably to approach affiliate marketing is by creating dedicated YouTube videos reviewing the product or service. So in 2023 specifically, the early part, and this also helped grow my channel viewership-wise as well. I created a bunch of videos talking about like Envato Elements review or like Artlist versus Envato Elements, Motion Array review 2023, So I started making all these review videos, essentially reviewing different products and services, because when you think about like affiliate marketing or even like sponsorships in general, if you create a review video specifically about a product or service and knowing the nature of YouTube and how YouTube works, it's the second largest search engine in the world next to Google. When people are curious about something, they'll search in YouTube or Google Artlist review or like how good is, Envato Elements. And when they search that, if your video pops up, they're kind of already in a buying situation where they're either going to click on your video, they'll watch it, they'll see if they like it or not, and they'll probably more than likely click on your link. Or if not, they might buy later or come back to that video and click your link and purchase or even start a free trial. A lot of these affiliate programs, like sometimes they have affiliate or like free trials. So people will join it and then they'll be like, oh, you get a 7-day free trial. If they decide to purchase after the 7 days, then I still get a commission or a part of that, after a certain day. Some actually have like 30 days, which is really nice. But that's how affiliate marketing works. And what I found is like making those review videos really boosted the sales of it. And then I started getting into brands and sponsorships. So, I work with brands specifically on my YouTube channel. Sometimes you'll see, if you're a subscriber on my YouTube channel, that a certain video is sponsored by a certain brand where they pay me to talk about a specific feature or product or service that they have. But that's how I kind of grew monetization-wise. I do have to say one part of monetization that hasn't really panned out as well as I thought it would be the merch shelf or like the merchandise store. I launched the merch shelf in the end of 2023, so it's been about a year. And really, I only had 3 sales with it. So when you look, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the merch shelf below where you can buy like branded, John the Video Guy coffee mugs, t-shirts, and different things. It's not really a big revenue driver. I'm not sure if it's based because of my audience or, you guys can let me know down in the comments section. But I think the reason is because people don't really need it. Where the other things like stock subscriptions, even the digital products on my Patreon, it's things that are more, you can use them right away. Where a t-shirt, it's just kind of like, if I want to support them, I'll get a branded t-shirt. I think also it has to deal with the branding in the community, like I talked about. So I might update the merch. If you guys are interested in merch, give me a few ideas, leave comments down below. I can definitely redesign some of the merch because some people I talk to, they're not a fan of the edit shirt, or some people are like, oh, wow, that's really cool. But, I think for some people see it as cheesy, and some people think of it as like, that's really cool. But yeah, that's another way, but it's not a large revenue source per se. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about. So I recently left my 9 to 5 to actually pursue YouTube and then freelance video editing. So earlier this year in 2024, I left my job in March. I basically gave like a month notice, essentially. Beginning of March, left by the end of March, essentially. So basically from April up to now to the present day, I've been on my own as a YouTuber and freelance video editor. And I first want to talk about like why, because I used to work for this business for around 9 years almost, just under 9 years. And I still do freelance work for them. They're still, in my life. But when I look at the reason why I left, I think it really comes down to just trying to live a simpler life. For those that know, the business I used to work for is in the live events. So if you're in the live event industry, you kind of know, but if you're not, live events is very fast paced. And regardless of the type of live event, company you work for, there's going to be a lot of fast paced, last minute things, last minute designs, last minute video editing. And to me, it just wasn't really worth it anymore. And to me, what I wanted in my life is just to be more simple, to focus more on the product, to have more time to be creative, especially in video editing. When it comes down to like video editing as a career, at the end of the day, you have clients, you have work that you need to do, but you need time to do good work. You know what I mean? And when you work in live events specifically, and you're rushed to do something, sometimes you don't do the 100% your best work. And what I wanted to do is kind of take back control of my time, have enough time, and be on my own terms of when, can I take this on? Do I have enough time? Do I have the creativity to do something? And that's the biggest and the coolest thing about being your own boss is essentially you can choose the people that you want to work with and the projects that you want to work on. But that's one of the reasons, is just to simplify my life. It was getting a little bit too much. YouTube at the time was bringing in some money. So basically how my business is now is it's like, half YouTube, half video editing essentially. And that's kind of the goal, because I always wondered about starting my own business, but I was always too afraid to take that leap because of the uncertainty of freelance work, because let's say if freelance work dries up, then you have nothing to go off of. So in my scenario, if freelance work, dries up, then there's YouTube. If YouTube dries up, then I do more video freelance work. So what I wanted to do, and the whole goal of my YouTube channel really was to try to build something that can grow on the side so that I have a safety net of some sort that I can fall back on if I lost my job, or if, I wanted to start my own business, which I did. Something in that way, because, if we go back a little bit, the pandemic, I saw a lot of my friends, a lot of my coworkers get laid off permanently. And it just opened my eyes to, you have to be in control of your own destiny, essentially. You have to build something for you that no one can take away from you, I guess, other than yourself. But I think it's important to bet on yourself, to try something. And the other big thing about my decision I want to say too is if I never did it, I'd always be wondering what if, what I mean? Because like it could fail. It might, and you never know. But if it does, at least I tried. Where I feel like it might be too comfortable to stay at a job, for however many years. And I just wanted to try and see how it would go. And if I fail, I think the biggest thing when I left my job was that I had to be comfortable with failure. And for me, it's something I had to get used to, or the possibility of it. Because for my whole career, even going up to now, I've always kind of been a perfectionist, or always afraid of like, what if I fail? I've always been, risk adverse. and not willing really to take a lot of risk. I guess you could argue not going to college is kind of risky, but going to college is as risky if you don't have a scholarship. But for me, I basically, when I made the decision, I was like, if this fails, it's fine. I'll retire, or I'll get a simpler job. Because to me, kind of going into like my last bullet point here is, what is success to me? And I feel like a lot of us get wrapped up in trying to become successful. We have big dreams, big goals, become big, go to Hollywood, become a famous film director, or make your movie, make millions of dollars being a content creator or YouTuber. But for me, success for me is just to live a stress-free life, just to live a life where you're not anxious every day you wake up, to live a life where you wake up, you contribute to society in one way or another. I always like sharing this story. So when I was in high school, I had a part-time job when I was in a senior year of high school for Penn Station, which is kind of a fast food sandwich shop, kind of like Jersey Mike's, or like, it's a sandwich shop. I enjoyed it. I loved working with the people in there. But every once in a while, the last time I worked there was like 10 years, I'll go in there and order a sandwich because I do like the food. But I go back also just to, it's almost like a time capsule, or like it's like almost like going back in time to be able to see where I came from, where I was. It's almost like being a ghost on the wall, essentially. It's a really unique feeling every time I go in there. But going back there, it reminds me, life doesn't have to be that complicated. Like any job, serving sandwiches, you're helping society. You're helping people eat, food. Every job in society is very important. And I think me pursuing a career as a video editor, sometimes I think like, there's so many jobs that are important in society. But I think a lot of us get wrapped up in like, we have to become successful. We have to start a business. We have to make millions, or like, the success paradox, essentially, where I think at the end of the day, you wake up, you're happy. You wake up, you're contributing to society in a meaningful way. I think that's a successful life. And you have relationships that are good for you. To me, that's what success is. And that's why I did what I did. That's what I do, why I do what I do, essentially. But yeah, that's the first podcast episode. Getting real here. But I look forward to bringing these conversations and stories, to go deep, really, and just share with you, the stories and conversations that can really help just inspire you to think differently, to connect more on a human level. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this season. This is officially the start of season 3 on the Post Show podcast. I look forward to bringing you more episodes. But for now, feel free to like and subscribe if you're interested. If not, no big deal. I will also be making videos on Premiere Pro, video editing in general. But yeah, that does it for this one. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.